So, hello and welcome to this session. This session is all about the linear equation under the differential equation. So, let's start. Let's say you were given a general equation which is the m of x and y multiplied to dx plus n of x and y multiplied to dy equated to 0. So, kailan ba siya mako-considered as linear equation? First option is you must have a standard form of dy over dx plus the p of x multiplied to y equals the q of x. Kapag in form of dy over dx, you must have a multiplier na y na nakamultiply kay p of x. Pag sinabi nating p of x, this is a function of x. Meaning to say, this is a equation wherein your only variable is x as well as the q of x. Ang variable lang dapat natin dito is only x. Now, kapag nasunod natin yung ganitong standard form, we must compute for the integrating factor. Now, the formula for the integrating factor is e raised to the integral of the p of x dx. Yung p of x natin, yun yung kasama na function of x ni y. Maliwanag po. Ngayon, after computing the integrating factor, we will have the formula for the linear equation, which is if you have dy over dx, you must have y. Then multiplied to the integrating factor, equated to the integral of your q of x, which is also a function of x, multiplied to the computed integrating factor, multiplied to dx plus c. Now, that is your first option. Now, your second option is, kapag hindi siya pwede ng dy over dx, there will be a time na magkakaroon ka ng dx over dy naman. Now, kapag yung format mo is in terms of dx over dy, mababaliktad ngayon yung x and y. Now, dx to, dapat magkaroon ka ng multiplier na x, tapos ang kasama niya is a function of y, which is p of y. Then, equated ngayon siya sa q of y, which is also a function of y. Ngayon, to compute for the integrating factor of this equation, you must have e raised to the integral of the p of y dy. Since this is a function of y, kailangan naka-dy yung integral natin. Now, yung solution ngayon, since naka-dx over dy tayo, yung mauuna ngayon is x, then multiplied to the integrating factor. Equated ngayon siya sa integral ni q of y, multiplied to the integrating factor, multiplied to dy plus c. Now, you will see the difference between the two. Kapag naka-dy over dx tayo, meron ka ditong y. Kapag naka-dx over dy naman tayo, meron ka ditong x. Then, kapag dy over dx, ang multiplier natin must be y, tapos ang function natin must be x. Tapos kapag naka-dx over dy naman tayo, our multiplier is x, then our function is y. Then the difference between the integrating factor is yung p of x dx kapag naka-dy over dx, tapos p of y dy kapag naka-dx over dy. So, para mas madaling intindihin, punta tayo ngayon sa example. So, let's say example number 1, we have to obtain the general solution of the y prime plus y equals e raised to negative x. Now, we all know that y prime is equivalent to dy over dx. So, you will have dy over dx plus y equals e raised to negative x. Now, this is in the form of the standard form of the linear equation. Ito na si dy over dx, tapos you have the multiplier y. Then, ang kasama ni y is 1, which can be a function of x. Tapos, yung q of x is e raised to negative x. So, let's start. You have the p of x, which is equivalent to 1. Tapos, the q of x, which is equivalent to e raised to negative x. After identifying your p of x and q of x, you will now compute for the integrating factor. Now, the integrating factor formula is equal to the e raised to integral of your p of x, which is 1 multiplied to dx. Now, evaluating that equation, you will now have an integrating factor value of e raised to x, since the integral of 1 dx is x. Now, after identifying your integrating factor, we will use now the formula for the linear equation. Naka dy over dx tayo. So the solution for this is y multiplied to our integrating factor, which is e raised to x, equals the integral of your q of x, which is e raised to negative x, multiplied to the integrating factor, which is e raised to x multiplied to dx, plus c. Now, simplifying this area, this can be, we can use x raised to a multiplied to x raised to b equated to x raised to a plus b. So kapag ginamit natin yon, you will have e, then negative x plus x is 0. So e raised to 0 is 1. So ang matitira na lang natin is integral of dx. So you will now have an equation of y e raised to x plus the integral of dx plus c. Now, evaluating this equation, you will now have y e raised to x equals x plus c. After that, that is now your general solution for the given equation, which is the linear equation. So your final answer is y e raised to x equals x plus c. Now let's go to the next example. Example number 2 is obtain again the general solution of y prime equals y of tangent x plus the cosine of x. Now we all know that y prime is dy over dx. Kaya lang, dapat ang kasunod niya yung may multiplier natin na y. So in this formula or in this equation, meron tayong y kay tangent of x. So kailangan nating ilipat si y tangent of x kasama ni dy over dx. So in that case, you will now have an equation of dy over dx minus the tangent of x multiplied to y equals the cosine of x. Now in that case, your p of x is now negative tangent of x kasama si negative, since our formula is dy over dx plus the p of x multiplied to y equals the q of x. So, kailangan kasama yung negative kay tangent of x. Now, our q of x is yung nasa kabilang side, which is the cosine of x. After nating ma-identify yung p of x at q of x, now we need to solve for the integrating factor. Now, solving the integrating factor, you will now have e raised to the integral of negative tangent x dx. So, paano ba natin i-integrate si negative tangent x dx? Noted that the integral of tangent x dx is equal to negative ln of the cosine x. Since naka-negative to, ilalabas natin, then the integral of the tangent x is negative ln. So, you will now have negative of the negative ln of cosine x. So, in that case, magiging positive ngayon si ln of cosine x. Now, we all know that e raised to ln of a can be equivalent as a alone. So, kukunin natin yung cosine x, and that is our integrating factor. After knowing your integrating factor, we will now use the solution of the linear equation. Naka-dy over dx tayo ulit. So, dapat, you must have y multiplied by the integrating factor equals the integral of the q of x, which is your cosine of x, multiplied by the integrating factor, which is also a cosine of x, multiplied to dx plus c. So, in that case, you will now have cosine of x multiplied to cosine of x, that is cosine squared of x. Now, we all know that using the trigonometric identities, cosine squared of x is equivalent to 1/2 of the quantity 1 plus cosine of 2x. So, gagamitin ngayon to dun sa equation instead of cosine squared of x. Now, your new equation is y of cosine x equated to the integral of 1/2 quantity 1 plus cosine of 2x multiplied to dx plus c. Paghihiwalayin natin ngayon yung dalawa. So you will now have an equation of y cosine x equals 1/2 of the dx plus 1/2 of the cosine 2x dx plus c. Now integrating that part, yung u natin this side is 2x. Then our du there is 2 dx. So we need 2, then balanced by another 1/2. So you will now have an equation of y cosine x equals, the integral of this part is 1/2 x. Then yung 1/2 kanina, then since nag-i-insert tayo ng 2 sa loob, we need to balance by another 1/2 sa labas. So in that case, the integral part of this side is 1/4 of the sine of 2x plus 1/2 x equated to y cosine x. Now, to simplify the equation, we need to multiply the whole equation by 4. So, ang mangyayari sa equation natin ngayon is 4y cosine of x. Equated ngayon siya sa 2x plus the sine of 2x plus, instead of using 4c, pwede natin gamitin yung c alone. Since parehas naman silang constant, then this is considered as arbitrary constant. So for the final answer in this example, you will now have 4y cosine of x equated to 2x plus the sine of 2x plus c. Now let's go to the next example, which is example number 3. Now, obtaining again the general solution, but the equation now is the quantity of y plus 1 dx plus the quantity of 4x minus y dy equated to 0. Paano ngayon natin siya gagawin in the form of the standard form? So, in this case, ang kailangan natin gawin is dx over dy plus 4x minus y all over y plus 1 equated to 0. Now, the question is, why dx over dy instead of using dy over dx? So, alamin natin kung bakit dx over dy yung ginamit natin comparing to dy over dx. So, we will now have this equation. So, kapag dy over dx tayo, so, tatanggalin natin si 4x minus y. So, we need to divide the whole equation by 4x minus y. Tapos, denominator dapat si dx. Now, in that case, magkakaroon nga tayo ng dy over dx. Then, this side is y plus 1 all over 4x minus y. Ngayon, pag pinaghiwalay natin yung numerator, you will now have dy over dx plus y over 4x minus y plus 1 over 4x minus y equated to 0. Ngayon, meron ka ngang multiplier na y since naka-dy over dx tayo. But, yung kasama ni y, dapat function of x alone. Now, this term is not considered of a function of x kasi merong y dun sa loob. Pagdating naman kay q of x, dapat function of x alone din, kaya lang na meron ka ding y dun sa loob. Let's try to use dx over dy. So, para magkaroon tayo ng dx over dy, denominator natin si dy, tapos numerator si dx. So, we need to divide the whole equation by dy, tapos kailangan mawala si y plus 1 kay dx. So, i-divide natin yung whole equation again by y plus 1 rather. Then, ang magiging equation natin ngayon is dx over dy plus the 4x minus y all over y plus 1 then equated to 0. Now, after that, pwede natin paghiwalayin yung 4x minus y. Ang mangyayari, you will now have dx over dy plus 4x all over y plus 1 minus y all over y plus 1 then equated to 0. Then this one, ililipat natin sa kabila. You will now have an equation of dx over dy plus 4 over y plus 1. Then the multiplier x equated to y over y plus 1. Ngayon, ito follows the standard form of the linear equation. How? Naka-dx over dy tayo. Now, we need a multiplier of x tapos yung kasama ni x dapat function of y. Kung mapapansin mo to, this is 4 over y plus 1. This is a function of y kasi wala namang x dun sa equation. Then this one is also a function of y since wala namang x dun sa term na y over y plus 1. Since comparing the two, ang nakasunod dun sa standard form ni linear equation is dx over dy. So, ang gagamitin natin ngayon is dx over dy. Now, going back dun sa equation natin kanina, so we will now have dx over dy plus the quantity of 4 over y plus 1 multiplied to x equals y over y plus 1. Then identifying your p of y, you will now have 4 over y plus 1. Then our q of y is y over y plus 1. Then computing for the integrating factor, we will now have if equals e raised to the integral of 4 over y plus 1 dy. Then if you let u as y plus 1, then your du there is dy. So magkakaroon tayo ngayon ng e raised to 4 ln of y plus 1. Then gamit yung natural logarithm properties, if you have a ln of b, that can be equivalent to ln of b raised to a. So pwede nating itaas si 4 as an exponent of your y plus 1. Then another property of the natural logarithm, if you have e raised to ln of a, that can be rewritten as a. So, ang mangyayari, your integrating factor is the quantity of y plus 1 raised to 4. And after knowing the integrating factor of the equation, we will need to use the solution of the linear equation. Now, the solution of the linear equation is, if you have dx over dy, syempre, ang gagamitin natin ngayon is x. Then, the integrating factor is y plus 1 raised to 4. Equated ngayon siya sa integral ni q of y, which is y over y plus 1. Then our integrating factor is y plus 1 raised to 4 multiplied to dy. So this is dy, not dx. So that's plus c. So we will now have x multiplied to y plus 1 raised to 4 equated to the integral of y multiplied to y plus 1 cube. Since makakancel yung isang y plus 1, then this is dy, not dx, so plus c. So, expand natin ngayon si y plus 1 cube, that is y cube plus 3y squared plus 3y plus 1. So, you will now have x multiplied to y plus 1 raised to 4 equivalent to the quantity of y raised to 4, kasi y cube multiplied to y is y raised to 4, then 3y squared multiplied to y is 3y cubed. Then 3y multiplied to y is 3y squared. Then 1 multiplied to y is y. Then that is dy plus c. Ngayon, i-integrate natin siya ngayon ng hiwa-hiwalay. So, kapag in-integrate natin ng hiwa-hiwalay, you will now have x multiplied to y plus 1 raised to 4. Equivalent ngayon siya sa y raised to 5 over 5 plus 3 multiplied to y raised to 4 over 4 plus 3 y raised to 3 over 3 plus y squared over 2 plus c. Now, simplifying the equation by multiplying the whole equation sa 20, you will now have 20x multiplied to y plus 1 raised to 4 equals 4y raised to 5 plus 15y raised to 4 plus 20y cubed plus 10y squared plus c. Now, for the final answer of this problem, you will now have 20x multiplied to y plus 1 raised to 4 equated to 4y raised to 5 plus 15y raised to 4 plus 20y cubed plus 10y squared plus c. Next example. Now we need to obtain the particular solution of the given equation, which is y prime equals x cubed minus 2xy when the value of x is 0, the value of y is 1. Now we need to identify the standard form of the linear equation. In this case, y prime is dy over dx, tapos ang kailangan nating multiplier is y. So in this formula or in this equation, ang may y dyan is si negative 2xy. So kailangan natin siyang ilipat sa kabila. That is plus 2x of y. Equated ngayon siya dun sa natira, which is x cubed. So that is in the standard form of linear equation. So the p of x is 2x. Then the q of x is x cubed. Now identifying your integrating factor, the integrating factor is equal to e raised to the integral of 2x dx. So kapag in-integrate natin yon, you will now have e raised to 2 multiplied to x squared over 2. Ang simplified version ng integrating factor natin is e raised to x squared. Now, following the solution, you have dy over dx, so you will have y multiplied to the integrating factor, which is e raised to x squared, equals the integral of x cubed, which is your q of x, multiplied to e raised to x squared dx plus c. Now, using by parts. Now, you will let u as x squared. Ititira natin yung isang x. Then, the du is equal to 2x dx. Bakit natin tinira yung isang x? Gagamitin natin siya sa formula ni dv, which is x e raised to x squared dx. Tapos, ilalet natin yung exponent ni e as x squared. Then, ang derivative nun is 2x dx. Ngayon, para ma-integrate natin to, you will have 1/2, then the integral of e raised to x squared multiplied to 2x dx. Gagamitin natin yung iniwan nating x kanina para ma-integrate natin si e raised to x squared. Now, in that case, the value of your v now is 1/2 multiplied to e raised to x squared. Now, the formula of by parts is uv minus the integral of v du. Following that formula, you will now have y e raised to x squared equals 1/2 x squared e raised to x squared. So that is 1/2 e raised to x squared multiplied to x squared minus our v is 1/2 e raised to x squared, and the du is 2x dx. Now, in this side or in this term, we will let u as x squared again, then our du is 2x dx. Now, you will notice that this is e raised to u du. So, no need to insert any constant. So, you will now have an equation of y e raised to x squared equals 1/2 of x squared e raised to x squared minus 1/2 of e raised to x squared plus c. Ngayon, to simplify the equation, magmumultiply tayo doon ng 2. Pag minultiply natin yung 2 sa whole equation, we will now have 2y multiplied to e raised to x squared equals e raised to x squared of x squared minus 1 plus c. Now, that is considered to be your general solution. But our target is the particular solution of the given equation. Now, continuation of the number 4 equation or number 4 example, you solved the general solution. Ngayon, gagamitin natin yung value ni x and y to find the particular solution where x is 0, the value of y is 1. So, isa-substitute natin ngayon lahat ng x and lahat ng y. So, your c value is 3. Gagamitin natin yung c na 3 dun sa general solution. So, our new equation is 2y multiplied to e raised to x squared equals e raised to x squared of x squared minus 1 plus 3. Now, this is your particular solution since wala ng presence ng arbitrary constant c. Now, since this is your particular solution, so this can be considered as your final answer, which is 2y of e raised to x squared equals e raised to x squared multiplied to x squared minus 1 plus 3. Now, for the last example of this session, we need to obtain the particular solution of y prime equals 1 plus 3y tangent of x when x is 0, the value of y is 1. So we need to obtain the standard form of the linear equation. So in that case, y prime is dy over dx. So since naka dy over dx tayo, we need to find yung merong multiplier na y. In this equation, ang meron lang is si 3y tangent of x. So ilalabas natin si y, then itatranspose natin sa kabila. So we will now have negative 3 tangent of x, then the multiplier y, tas matitira si 1. So in that case, our p of x here is 3 tangent of x, then our q of x is simply 1. Now, computing for the integrating factor, your integrating factor value is e raised to the integral of negative 3 tangent of x dx. Ngayon, ilalabas natin si negative 3. Now, the tangent of u du is equivalent to negative ln of cosine u. So, you will now have e raised to 3 ln of cosine x. Since negative yan, tapos negative din yun, magiging positive na ngayon yung equivalent value. Ngayon, using your ln property, so pwede nating itaas si 3 or gawing exponent ni cosine. So, we will now have e raised to ln of cosine x cubed. Then, another property of the ln is pwede nating tanggalin si e raised to ln, ang matitira na lang ay si a. So, you will now have an integrating factor of cosine x cubed. Since naka dy over dx tayo, sa solution natin, we need to have y multiplied to the integrating factor which is cosine x cubed. Equivalent ngayon siya sa integral ni q of x which is 1 multiplied to the integrating factor which is cosine x cubed multiplied to dx plus c. So in that case, you will now have y then multiplied to cosine of x cubed equals the integral of, instead of using cosine x cubed, we will use cosine x multiplied to cosine squared x. Bakit? Kasi using your trigonometric identities, your cosine squared x can be equivalent to 1 minus sine squared x. So in that case, instead of using cosine squared x, gagamitan natin siya ng 1 minus sine squared x. Then ang mangyayari is, you will have the integral of cosine x dx. Then i-multiply natin to dun sa sine squared. You will now have cosine x sine squared x dx. Now dito sa term na to, you will now have u as sine of x. Then the du is cosine of x dx. Now we will use power formula since this is u squared du. So you will now have y of cosine cube x equals the integral of cosine x dx is positive sine of x minus, since this is power formula, that is u squared du. So you will have u cube over 3. Our u here is sine of x. So you will have sine cube over 3. Then this is negative. So plus c. Now, simplifying this equation by multiplying the whole equation sa 3, you will now have 3y cosine cube x equals 3 sine x minus sine cube x plus c. Now, this is considered your general solution, but our target is the particular solution of the equation. So, we need to find the particular solution by using the values of x and y, which is x equals 0 and y equals 1. So, isa-substitute na natin ngayon yung value ni x, lahat, then lahat ng y. So, evaluating the equation, you will get the value of c as 3. Kasi cosine 0 is 1, so matitira dito is 3, sine 0 is 0, sine 0 is also 0, so c is equal to 3. Now, ngayon si c, gagamitin natin kay general solution. Tapos, substitute na natin ngayon si c. So, you will now have 3y cosine cube x equals 3 sine of x minus sine cube of x plus 3. Now, this is to be considered as your particular solution. Now, since this is your particular solution, it is your final answer as 3y cosine cube x equals 3 sine of x minus sine cube of x plus 3. And that's it for the linear equation under the differential equation. Now, I hope you understand the solution or the flow of the lesson. I hope you learned a lot. If there's any question, just comment down your question or just message me on my messenger. So that's all. Thank you and God bless.